Hi everyone, welcome back to part 6 of the Book One Cozies Club chapter by chapter for Christmas Cowbells, the first book in the Buttermilk Creek Mystery series by Mollie Cox Bryan. I'm Di, and this is my audio-only reading vlog for this book. Today I will be reading chapters 31 through 36 and sharing my thoughts with you along the way. Due to the nature of this reading vlog, there will be spoilers, so if you haven't read these chapters yet, I suggest that you not listen to this recording until you do. If you would prefer to hear my general thoughts on this book in its entirety, keep an eye out for my Book One Cozies Club series First Impressions video, which will be posted sometime after the reading vlogs for this book have commenced. So how is everybody doing this evening? I just got off of work, so I am tucking into today's chapters. I realized as I was editing yesterday's chapters that I completely forgot to mention about the shoe fly pie. I had never heard of shoe fly pie, so I actually had to go look it up, and it seemed interesting, though I kept reading some conflicting articles about it. One of the things that I read said that shoe fly pie does not contain eggs, and another one that I did said that it does contain eggs. So I looked at some of the recipes for shoe fly pie, and I found recipes with and without eggs. So I'm a little confused on that. If you are familiar with shoe fly pie, definitely let me know down in the comments below. If you are familiar with it having eggs or not having eggs. Anyway, I had to look it up because I wasn't familiar with it. And at first when I read that passage about Bryn eating Tom's wife's shoe fly pie, I thought that maybe she did it poorly, or maybe it was like, I don't know, off. Because the way that it was portrayed, it seemed like Bryn immediately was feeling sick after having just a bite. I don't even know that she consumed what she had put in her mouth. It didn't seem like it. But yeah, at first I thought maybe something was wrong with the pie. But as I read further, it seems like she just didn't care for the taste. Let me know what your thoughts were on that. But yeah, after having that little commentary about Tom and him not being happy about what she was doing with the place, and then the fact that his wife supplied 3 pies for her, which is a lot of pie. And don't get me wrong, I do love pie, but that's a lot of pies to be giving. And then for her to have that kind of reaction to it, I thought there was something slipped in there that shouldn't have been. But after reading further, that's obviously not the case. Anyway, I just thought that I should mention that because I failed to comment on that when I had done yesterday's chapters. But anyway, I am going to dive into chapter 31 right now. I'm looking forward to more investigation, and yeah, so I will dig into the chapter and I will be back with you in a bit. So I just finished chapter 32. I found it kind of humorous that Bryn was questioning how she would try to interrogate Flannery without sounding like she was interrogating him. It's something that I brought up earlier about things that bother me about amateur sleuths' investigative styles, so I did let out a little bit of a chuckle when I read that. But I do think she was smart about the way she went about pulling Flannery in and trying to bring him over to do the renovations on the new place for the CSA. Again, smart that she had Willow there with her, but it seems like Willow and Flannery knew each other. There was a scene there where they met for the first time, but it didn't seem like that was the first time Willow and Flannery met. I always call him Flannery. I don't remember what his first name is. Zach. His name is Zach. Anyway, it seems like Willow either met Zach before or knew him from someplace, but yeah, I didn't get the impression that this was the first time Willow had met Zach. Interesting about the cat Romeo, I'm a bit surprised that Brynn kind of brushed off the fact that Romeo was there now and that somebody probably let him in and she assumes that it's the police. I don't feel like she really believes that, but it just seemed like an odd thing to jump to, especially with everything that she's experienced recently. And now Freckles is gone, and I don't know about you, but at the end of chapter 32, I was very confused as to whether Freckles was a girl or a boy. Sometimes it says he, and sometimes it says she, all in the span of a few paragraphs. So I think the she weighed out the he more often in these paragraphs, but still, it's another thing that bothered me because I had to go back and reread and see, okay, did I read that right? Because I could have read it wrong, but it definitely says he several times. And I don't think that they're talking about something else. I'm pretty sure they're referring to Freckles, and it couldn't be one of the cows because the cows are all female. So yeah, that bothered me. And again, with the mentions of Dan. Obviously, Dan is a sticky point for me in this novel. I don't know why he needs to be mentioned so often. The sentences where he comes up in, I feel like they're really unnecessary. For me, it just seems like Brynn is holding on to the memory of him by constantly thinking about him, and it bugs me a lot. Like, get over it. He cheated on you. Why are you hung up on this guy? But yeah, maybe that's just me, but I am pretty tired of these constant mentions of Dan. Anyway, I am going to move on to chapter 33 right now, and let's see if they're able to find Freckles. I will be back with you in a bit. So I just finished chapter 36, and I am wondering if this book was edited well. It doesn't seem like it was to me. Obviously, earlier I had issues with the fact that Freckles was being referred to as he and she. I did reread that section a couple times, and I am sure that they are referring to Freckles when they say he and she during those several paragraphs in chapter 33. And now in chapter 36, we get a scene where Brynn is telling Willow that she called the Solito family, who are the owners of the B&B, and Willow's like, well, why did you call them? And I don't understand, because Willow was the one that told her, why don't you call them to find out? So it's very strange that things like this are going on. And I mean, this is published by Kensington, which is a well-known publisher, so I don't know what's going on. And again, I don't know why I'm zoning in on all of these things, but they're like blatantly obvious to me. They're popping off the page. And so it bothers me and it's ruining the flow of the story for me. But anyway, besides that, I am glad that Freckles is back. We find out some interesting information about Tom. And then we see Frank again, walking along the road. So I'm wondering if there's something to his character more than he's an odd duck, or whatever Willow had said about him. Because he's shown up a couple times now. I believe after things have happened, or before things have happened, or around the time things have happened. So, yeah, I don't know. It just seemed strange that he pops up at strange times. I also found it odd that the sheriff was asking about Tilly, and that Tilly has, come around a couple times. I know at first Tilly acted a little strange when she talked to Bryn about, knowing Nancy and their relationship and such. So I don't know what to make of that. Like, Tilly seems fine. Like, I don't really suspect her of doing anything, but I think she maybe might know something with the way that she was shifting about when Bryn first met her, which makes me wonder if Frank had something to do with things, because Frank's her older brother, right? So, anyway, that's just a little something that's sticking in my head, but I'm not really convinced it's Frank yet either, nor am I convinced that it's Tom, even though both of them have acted strange. I'm glad to see a little bit of comedic relief with the Reverend and him finally kind of not being so uptight about things being historically accurate for the nativity scene, and that Bryn was able to kind of get him to come down from that in a pleasant and approachable way. Very interesting about Wes. I am glad that he's going to be coming back because, like I said, I did enjoy the boys when they were at the farm. And that was definitely something that I didn't see happening, even though they did mention while they were staying with Bryn that, his grades weren't great and that he was interested in becoming a chef. And so, yeah. And wasn't Wes the one that was kind of enamored with Tilly? So that will work out well, I think, which also kind of makes me step back from the whole there's something up with Tilly thing. I'd really like to believe that Tilly and Nancy's relationship was as Tilly says it was, where Nancy was trying to help her grow in the areas that Tilly wanted to grow, reading books, that her family, for whatever reason, didn't approve of, learning about, music. So, yeah. There were definitely some things in these chapters today that were really great, and then others that really bothered me. Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on, is how is Bryn making money? Like, it's not clear that she is selling product. even though she, has already made product, I've only read that she's been giving it away to try to gain customers, and that, that whole deal with, what was his name, Paul? When that fell through, she was really devastated. But I don't think it's mentioned anywhere that she, is making money from this business yet. So I'm curious how she's handling all of the expenses of running her farm and, feeding her cows, paying the mortgage. They did say that, she was able to purchase the place with some inheritance that she had received, but taking care of a farm, taking care of the cows, running her business, I'm sure she has expenses that it doesn't seem like, or at least it wasn't implied, that the inheritance would take care of. She said she used part of the inheritance to purchase the farm, I believe. So, yeah, is she not making any income right now is a big question that I've had throughout this book and just keep forgetting to mention it. But let me know what you think. Do you think she's already had a couple customers that she sells to regularly? How is she making money? Because to me, it doesn't seem like she has a customer base yet. It seems like she's just giving away product at this point. And even now in these chapters today, she talks about making gifts, making creme fraiche and giving it to her neighbors as Christmas presents. So, yeah, that pretty much sums up my thoughts for today's chapters. Let me know what you thought and weigh in on some of the questions that I have, because I'd really like to know what you think. And that will do it for me today. I will be back with you tomorrow. I hope you're all doing great. And until tomorrow, take care and smile always. Bye.